Before you begin installation, you will need to prepare the following tools: an adjustable wrench, a Stanley knife, an impact drill, either a stepped drill bit going up to 12mm or alternatively a 12mm cobalt drill bit, a decent quality cutting fluid, and a roll of plumber's tape. Some other tools that may be helpful will be a flathead screwdriver, a pair of long nose pliers, and a marker. All you need to do is remove the tap from the box. You'll see we have a double tap. Inside the Ziploc bag, you will find that we have a smaller bag containing 2 metal plates and a rubber seal. This will be for the tap. All we need to do for now is that we need to set aside the rubber seal. Of the 2 plates, one will go on top of the tap, one will go underneath. We're going to set aside the bottom and take the top plate. You're going to center that exactly where you want the tap to be placed. Using your marker, you will carefully trace around the plate. Trace the inside hole as well, as this will help us place our drill holes. Next, we will take the bottom mounting plate, as it has the 2 separate holes that match the 2 threads of the double tap. You will carefully center this on your traced circle and simply use the marker to draw and trace the 2 holes that we will be drilling out. Next, you're going to use your impact drill, either with a stepped drill bit or a cobalt drill bit, and I suggest using a good quality cutting fluid, as this will prepare your surface for drilling and prevent your drill bits from being burnt. Cut each hole slowly and carefully, making sure to keep the drill centered on the marked holes. Once you have cut both holes to the correct 12mm diameter, you will simply take the double tap and place it inside to test fit the holes. You may need to remove the 2 nuts on the 2 threads. You will see that the longer thread has a collar above it. The shorter thread has no collar on the nut. Simply remove the nuts, place it inside, set the tap aside, then simply give the surface a wipe down, removing any marker or cutting fluid. You can then peel away the protective sticker on the top plate. Grab the included rubber seal, place it down first, place the top plate on top of it, and simply insert the tap. You will see that the tap has 2 engraved markings, one saying purified, the other saying filtered. Ensure that these markings are facing the user and not away. Place the tap inside, and the next step is to use the bottom plate and the included nuts. Simply slide the bottom plate onto the 2 threads. Then we will take the nut with the collar facing upward, and place it on the longer of the 2 threads. Simply screw that on. Next, take the other nut, screw that onto the shorter of the 2 threads. Once you have tightened those as much as possible with your hand, you'll need to get your shifting spanner. With the shifting spanner, you can then tighten it. Where you cannot use the shifting spanner, a pair of long nose pliers will come in handy. In the box, you will see that we have provided 2 straight connectors with the grey rings on either side. These are going to be connected to the bottom side of the tap threads. In order to connect to the connector, you simply insert and push up until it is flush, then pull on the connector to make sure it's locked in place. If for any reason you need to remove the connector, all you need is a flathead screwdriver. Push the grey ring down and the connector should slide out. To reconnect, simply press until flush and tug on the connector to make sure it is connected correctly. You will connect the two straight connectors to both threads of the tap. Your tap should be solidly affixed. The swivel should work. And remember, left-hand tap is purified, right-hand tap is filtered. Next, we are going to affix the tee-off stopcock fitting for the municipal water supply to the machine. One side has a seal. All we're going to do is we're going to affix it to the existing plumbing to your sink tap. Step 1, you want to close off the stopcock, as we don't want any water rushing out while we're working on this. Next, we will simply use our shifting spanner to loosen the existing piping to the tap. Once that has been removed, we're going to use some plumber's tape and we're going to wrap the thread on the tap's stopcock. We're going to do the same to the thread on the outside of our tee-off connector. Then we're simply going to attach this connector to the stopcock from the tap. Tighten it appropriately. Then simply reattach the original piping for the existing tap on your sink. Next, we are going to attach the thicker of the two provided PE piping. This is for the supply of municipal water. We'll need to close the stopcock and simply remove the nut that is already placed on the thread. This we're going to pass over our thicker PE pipe, and this will be then inserted into the connector. Place the PE pipe onto the bottom and push it up until it is flush. Then simply tighten the nut back over the threading to lock that in place. You can use your shifting spanner to further tighten it. Careful not to overdo it. Once that is affixed, simply follow the piping down. This is going to be attached to the raw inlet port of the machine. Now, usually we will simply cut this to length using a Stanley knife. As this is a demo, I will not be doing that today. We do need to remove the plug, so use your flathead screwdriver or the sheath of your Stanley knife and simply depress the grey ring of the plug. The plug will simply pop out. Hang on to that for later. Next, simply slide in your pipe and press until you meet resistance. It won't go anywhere. At this point it is locked and will not come out of the machine. If at any point you need to remove it again, simply push down on the connector again and the pipe will simply slide out. But to insert, until there's resistance, it should be locked into place. Going back to the two straight connectors that we affixed during the installation of the tap, remember that the longer one on the left hand side is attached to the purified water tap and the shorter one on the right is attached to the filtered water tap. Remember this, as this is very important. We'll start with the purified water tap, which is the longer thread. We're going to attach the thinner provided PE piping. Just like with the ports on the machine, you simply insert the pipe into the connector until you feel resistance. Then give it a slight tug to make sure it's connected. We'll follow that down, and that is going to be fed into the pure water outlet port. Now you're going to measure this to the right length, give it a tiny bit of slack, and then just to be safe, about an extra centimeter or two, and simply cut it with a Stanley knife. Once that is done, just like before, we're going to depress the gray ring around our port plug, pull out that plug, and simply insert our piping until you meet resistance. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but with the filtered water tap. Simply insert until you feel resistance. You're going to follow that alongside the pure water tap. Depress the port, pull out the plug, and insert the piping for the filtered water into the clean outlet port. Give them all a tug just to make sure that they're all locked into place. And the last thing to do is our wastewater outlet. At this point, you should have a little bit of your PE pipe left over. So we're going to depress that gray ring, pull out the plug, and we are going to insert the remainder of our thinner PE piping directly into the wastewater outlet port. This is going to be run into the drainage pipe of your sink. Under your sink, there should be drainage that your sink runs into. In this case, this is just a demo, so I'm going to run it next to where our pipe is running out and tape it down. But you will affix this to whichever drainage port you have underneath your sink. Hang on to the 4 plugs that we pulled out of the machine. Don't lose them, as if later on you need to move the machine or reinstall it in a different sink, you'll want to be able to close those holes so that you don't get any gunk in them during moving. Now that we are done with the plumbing, it is time for our first run. What you will do is you will first open the stopcock to the kitchen sink tap. Next, you will open the stopcock, providing water to the Poseidon RO purifier. You will immediately hear the water running. Now is a good time to check that there are no leaks. Next, we need to plug in our power adapter. As soon as you plug it in, you'll hear a beep, and you should see the lights of our filter sensors coming on. For your very first run, it is recommended to run the purified water tap for 20 to 30 minutes. This will allow for flushing of the composite filters and just to wash out any gunk, silt, debris that's been trapped in the piping or plumbing from transport or installation. The initial run will be very black. Don't be alarmed. This is simply the activated charcoal in the filters. Thereafter, it will become milky and eventually run perfectly clear. There you see that initial black run, that is the activated charcoal. And now the water is a milkier color. As you keep letting this run, it's fully flushing through those composite filters that we have in the machine. You'll see it'll get clearer and clearer. Once again, let this run for 20 to 30 minutes. It is recommended to run the machine as often as possible in the first 24 hours of having the machine installed. So if you need to wash your hands or wash dishes, use the purified water tap. Rather than using the main tap for the sink, after the first day of having the machine installed, it is perfectly safe to drink directly from the purified water tap, and the filtered water tap is suitable for washing fruits and veggies before cooking, feeding to dogs, or washing the dishes. Thank you for choosing Titan. We hope that you and your family enjoy drinking clean, convenient, and delicious tasting water.